What's going on, YouTube? Make some noise for yourself. Yes. This is the Raiders Rundown. We are going to go through some of the latest news for the Raiders. Heartbreaking loss this past week. Man. Oh, sucks. Being knocked out of the playoffs like that. One and done. I don't think we choked, though, because the game came down to the last minute. A lot of people kept saying, oh, the Raiders were totally outmatched in that game against the Bengals. How are we totally outmatched if the game came down to literally one play? It was literally one play away from being a tied game. Anyways, on the agenda today, we're going to talk about that final play. That final play, Derek Carr did an audible, boom, incomplete pass to Zay Jones. We're going to break that down and go a little bit deeper into that. We're also going to take a look at Derek Carr's future. Is he the franchise QB of this team? We're also going to look at David Carr, brother of the quarterback of the Raiders, talking about flags and holding calls in particular on Twitter. A little irritated with the officiating of the previous game, I believe. And then we're going to talk about, obviously, Rich Bisaccia. Is he the future head coach? And let's also take a look at this pass. And I want to know what you guys think. We're going to look at some pictures of it. The incomplete pass that Renfro, I believe, caught and then fumbled out of bounds. And after that, we're going to take a look at some of our member questions that were submitted just last night. Anyways, let's get right into it. So after the heartbreaking loss, we got some responses from the players, mainly Derek Carr, as to what happened on this final play. We're going to take a look at this final play a little bit closer, but let's first play the clip of Derek Carr describing what happened on this final play, where, in my opinion, it just looked like a bad call, and I want to know who called it. We don't know for sure, but here's what Derek had to say about the play.
Yeah, the hook player was, right there near the hash, and, it's a swirl route, so he's coming back in. It's going to be a tight, it's going to be hands everywhere, And I just tried to throw it hard to where the guy wouldn't catch it. He made a great catch, but it's sucks, man. Just trying to throw it away from the safety, move the safety, and give Zay a chance to win the game. And he ran, he did his best, ran a great route. But I can't not say 57 made a great play. He made a great catch.
So Derek is saying they're trying to trick the safety and hopefully get Zay Jones open there on that play. But look at this picture here of this play. Tell me if you see a problem here. There's Renfro and Darren Waller at about the 7-yard line, nowhere near the end zone. Keep in mind, it's 4th and goal. We have no timeouts. This is the play for everything. This is the final play, and we have two of our best receivers at the 7-yard line. A lot of people are confused. Why are they not in the end zone? NFL Next Gen Stats also took a closer look at this. You could see, really, Zay Jones was the only target for Derek Carr on that play besides Bryan Edwards here. At around number 22 on your left side of the end zone. That was the only option, and he was basically triple, to some extent quadruple covered. And if you saw this play, there was almost no time to even look at your reads. Derek Carr just instantly hiked the ball and threw it as hard as he could to Zay Jones. And it just wasn't smart for being the final play. I would like to see a situation where at least Derek Carr has other reads that he can go to, or he could buy some time. He faced only a 3-man rush. All the DBs are in the end zone. And maybe that's why you didn't have Waller and Renfro in the end zone. Either way, I think more bodies are better than less in the end zone, especially on the final play. And look at here. I know this is the 7-yard line. We could only see up to the 4-yard line, but I think if Derek Carr has an opportunity to roll out, maybe cause a defender to try to tackle him, try to rush him, and that would free up space in the end zone. I wish we would have had more time for this play to develop and had more options to see what really could have happened. But that's the final play of the whole entire season. That's what we're left with, is Renfro at the 9-yard line, Waller at the 7th, and only Zay Jones and Edwards at closer to the hash marks in the end zone. Unfortunate. Hopefully, this never happens again. By the way, people watching this video, people in the comments, let me know where you're from. I always want to know where Raider Nation is representing. Raider Nation is worldwide. I've had people from Korea comment, people from all over the place. Hey, let me know where you're from in the comments below. So I don't know whose call that was, that final play. Maybe it was Greg Olsen. Maybe it was Derek Carr. I don't know. But we got to figure out what's the future with Derek Carr here. Is he going to be the Raiders QB? I do polls about this. I talk to people about this all the time. I talk to you viewers, and it is really split. You have, I would say 40% of Raider Nation is anti-Carr, would like to move on, and I would say 55 to 60% is pro Derek Carr. I mean, look at these stats against Cincinnati. So I don't want to look at the whole season yet. We're going to show that in a second, but 29 to 54. I gave Herbert a lot of crap because he was 30 of 70, I believe, against the Raiders, missed about 30 passes. Well, right here, Derek Carr missed basically 25 passes, almost 30 passes. Not many yards, 310, sacked 3 times, 5.7 yards per attempt, 1 TD, 1 pick at the very end of the game. I mean, I guess you could count that. Not super critical, but it is the last play of the game. I just think this was a poor performance in the playoffs for Derek Carr. Keep in mind, Josh Jacobs only had 1 rushing attempt in the fourth quarter. So we relied on Derek Carr with his arm to try to get us into the playoffs. Yes, we played from behind most of the time, but as you can see by the scoreboard, it was a 2-possession or a 1-possession game. Came down to a 1-possession game at the very end. And I just think no matter whose fault it is, does he have the weapons, whatnot, does he have the time? Didn't get it done. You're on the 9-yard line at the very last play of the game. And like I said earlier, the problem for me is not even attempting mobility, not even attempting to run the ball. And I think a lot of people would want to see Derek Carr at least try to roll out somewhere, at least try to extend something, try to get a safety or cornerback out of position as they chase and follow you as you go outside the pocket. Hopefully one of your receivers can get open. And if they can't get open, the season's on the line. Let's try to break a tackle. I mean, we see QBs who are smaller than Carr break tackles, who are less fast than Carr run in the end zone in some of these situations. So I just wish he would have done that. And even though I have been made fun of on here as a Carr stan, but I am willing to say that right here. So let's take a look at my guy Carr's numbers on the whole entire year. So this is the problem. We see situations where he is clearly not a dual threat quarterback, but we also see situations where Derek Carr is pretty much a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, 5th in yards here, 13th in TDs, through the 6th most picks, but that's because he was taking shots and, in my opinion, doesn't have the craziest of weapons, and then 68.4% completion percentage, that is also 5th in the NFL. So tons of categories where you see him at top 5, top 10, and then PFF grade, we got 76.3, offensive, 76.6 passing, and then the fumble, 54.1. Whoa, getting a bad grade there for Derek Carr, and we saw him give up a fumble in this game against the Bengals. They were able to recover. He also fumbled in the Chargers game. However, Brandon Parker luckily was able to recover that. We might not be in the playoffs, if Brandon Parker doesn't recover that. So to me, that's a huge deal, and it's a problem that needs to be fixed. However, I have taken a look at the fumble grade with PFF, and Derek Carr is actually 16th. So he's below average when it comes to fumbling as a quarterback. It's not like he is the worst in the NFL. But that is very unfortunate to see that happen, just to see us go out like that. Rich Bisaccia, I wonder, should he be the head coach? You saw so many players give a ringing endorsement for Rich Bisaccia. It's crazy to see players want him to be the coach. And here's the thing. Do you want a manager or the leader to be buddy-buddy with the employees? That's one thing I see. Oh, the players really love him. Well, when you're too close of a friend with your boss, maybe you slack off a little bit. Maybe you don't go 100%. Maybe you're a little too comfortable. I feel like with Gruden, everybody's on edge all the time because they know he's a psycho. And maybe that's good for a football team, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But I think that's something that you need to keep in mind when talking about Rich Bisaccia. Players coach, is it going to be too friendly, slack off around the boss, or will it pay off? Or, hey, I'm going to fight for this guy because he is a player's coach. So that's what we need to think about when we're talking about Rich. But Rich Bisaccia went 7-6, reached the playoff berth, first interim head coach to reach the playoffs since Bruce Arians with the Colts in 2012. Bruce Arians won a Super Bowl last year, so that's very interesting to see. And obviously, Rich has 20 years of NFL experience, started with the Buccaneers in the NFL in 2002 with John Gruden. But I was surprised when you really look at it, off the top of my head, I didn't immediately know that Rich is technically 7-6 when you include the playoff loss. All right, now we're going to get into some of our member questions from our members of this channel. If you want to become a member, click the join button on this video. It's near my name, near Wi-Fi Willie Raiders. Become a member. It's a good way to show support and give to this channel. You also get access to a Discord, which is going to be released this week, where you could chat with other members and myself, talk about the Raiders and the rest of the NFL. And we also have access to archive streams and archive videos. There are some videos and streams that we no longer have available to the public. You'll be able to access that as a member. And then you can submit questions like these for some of these videos. All right, so taking a look at our first question, we have Lee Mirles. What must the Raiders do to take the team to the next level? Now, this is a great question, and I think it's confusing for us in this moment because we really still do not know who the head coach is. Unfortunately, I think if we do bring in a big-name head coach outside, then it's going to cause a rebuild to happen. Look at when John Gruden took over after 2017. Jack Del Rio and the Raiders had a decent roster unanimously recognized by the NFL in 2017, but it still needed to become undone and totally rebuilt because we had a new regime in with a long contract, John Gruden. That's exactly what happened. If we're not going to totally rebuild with a new regime, if we are going to stick with Rich Bisaccia and Mike Mayock, or maybe something else, maybe Gus Bradley and Mayock, who knows what's in store. But if we are going to do something like that, I think to take this team to the next level, we got to decide what we're going to do with Derek Carr. And by that, I don't mean, oh, Carr is bad or Carr is not good. I'm not getting into that. Here are the facts, though. Derek Carr is a great QB when he has time to throw the ball and when he has receivers who could win contested catches. He is known to give people a chance. You've seen him help people like Crabtree and Aguilar succeed and have great numbers despite being on the latter part of their career in some respects. No offense, but... and you've seen how well Derek Carr does when he has a solid offensive line. Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, and Trent Brown. That was great for Derek Carr. But when these things don't work out, it's rough. Carr is actually the fifth most pressured quarterback in the NFL. And to be quite frank, he has the most turnovers when pressured compared to other quarterbacks in the NFL. So we need to make a decision. Are we going to invest in offensive line? Are we going to invest there? Are we going to invest in weapons for Derek Carr at the wide receiver position, not just a great tight end, not just a slot receiver? If we are going to do those things, then that's what we need. We need some offensive line help, probably some defensive tackle help on defense, and maybe even secure another cornerback if Hayward is not going to return. That's what we need on defense, cornerback, defensive tackle, I believe. Depends on who we extend, too. I mean, it depends on so many things, but I would list that right away. And on offense, receiver, and we need a tackle or a guard. Leatherwood, is he a guard or a tackle? Somebody needs to figure that out at some point. Got a question by Callie Gonzalez. What should the Raiders look for in free agency? This relates to this. I think a wide receiver, a tackle, depending on what we're going to do with Leatherwood, or a guard. Simpson, is he going to be the guy at left guard? Who knows? But I think invest in a free agent tackle if we do it. Brandon Parker, I like the guy, but he's probably not going to be the starting right tackle next year if they're going to go based off just this previous year's performance. Who knows? Who knows, though? Anything can happen. But I think a veteran would be good. We saw us try to have a rookie right tackle with Leatherwood, and it did not work out. He switched positions. So let's try a veteran this time in free agency. All right, and I have another question from NorCal Jesse Rader. Love this guy. We should hire a coach. Because I was asking people basically, what do you guys think? And this guy had more of a statements, right? But he was asking me what I thought about a lot of things. I paraphrased and took some things out from a lot of these questions. So he was saying we need to hire a coach. He thinks Rich Bisaccia is not it and says he likes Harbaugh. And what are my thoughts? Now, I just really don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to come here. I know he's making $4 million a year right now at Michigan. He's going to need to start that recruiting process soon, so a decision is going to have to be made. And I just feel like he's always rumored to go to teams every single year because he's a high-profile name after having some success with the 49ers before the demise, and there was a demise. People forget 8-8 in 2014. I mean, failed to reach the playoffs. That's how this guy went out before he became a Michigan Wolverine. That was Jim Harbaugh. So we need to always remember that and know that I don't think the grass is always greener on the other side. The players like Rich Bisaccia, Jim Harbaugh, is he going to be the answer? I mean, this guy, Didn't even have successes last year in the NFL. Hasn't always had a ton of success at Michigan besides this past year. So really, I don't see why he deserves to come in and just take some people out for their job. Really, I don't know. I think he's just a high-profile name, and that's that. And I don't think it's realistic. I don't think Mike Mayock wants to pay that much for a head coach, over $4 million. Plus, he'd have to buy out the contract from the Michigan Wolverines. So I just think that's too much money in general. Mark Davis, especially after giving a chunk of change to Gruden, is going to look for a bargain head coach, and I believe that bargain head coach is someone like Rich Bisaccia or even Gus Bradley. Who really knows? But we'll be the first to tell you what happens about any of that. Really weird tweets going on that are some Bisaccia propaganda. This is another reason why I think he'll be the coach. Vince Ferreira, Vince Sports here. Raiders interim head coach Rich Bisaccia in his Cincinnati hotel personally handwriting letters to all the players, thanking them for his hard work. And there's a picture of Bisaccia here. And I know it sounds sweet and nice, but I am super cynical, so I know that all these things are coordinated PR moves, okay? I just know that's what's going on. And it is a little weird. I mean, oh, he's such a sweet guy writing a hand letter to everybody. Maybe he is, right? Maybe he is, but clearly I think there is a push by media teams to keep this guy as head coach and to make him seem more popular to you, the fans. So as soon as you're on board, Raider Nation's going to make it happen. I really do believe. Now, David Carr had some complaints about some of the officiating in this past game, and then he ended up going on Twitter and saying something very interesting where he wishes that the holding call in the NFL was changed so where it's not a repeat of the down and you minus 10 yards. He's saying, why not the ball be placed at the spot that you held, and then you lose a down. You lose a down or any of the yards that you gained on the play. And this is a key thing that he said that I thought was pretty crazy, especially considering holding happens on literally every play, and it's only the official's discretion that matters. Wow, that's a huge statement. Somebody like David Carr, who works for the NFL Network, who has been a professional quarterback, a lot of times people say, oh, it's a totally bogus claim to say that holding happens on every single play. It's just something that salty fans say when they want to say the NFL is rigged. But it's really interesting, and he's not the first professional athlete in the NFL to say this, but a lot of people say holding, PI, these are subjective calls that on every play happen. On every play, if you're going to slow it down and look at it very closely, you can call it on almost every play. Almost every play somebody's holding. And we saw in this past Raider game, there were too many instances where, oh, Andre James is called for holding. Oh, Simpson's called for holding, even though their hands are inside. And it was so weird to see that because typically holding is called when it's egregious, right? When a player is reaching outside and you can see them grab on a jersey outside of a defender. But when we saw it inside, it was like, bro, this is just basic blocking. This is how people block. Every O-lineman has to kind of hold. But I just thought that was interesting to point out, seeing David Carr talk about this. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to come out with these every single week. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, Wi-Fi Willie Raiders, if you haven't already. Like this video if you watched it all the way through. I'm going to be going live in the future starting next week, every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I hope to see you there, and I hope to see you at the next video. Peace out, everybody.